everyone, it's Monique Renewed. Welcome back for another video. So today's topic of discussion is going to be on how to listen to God's voice from your heart. And to me, listening to God's voice through my heart, it's not something that I hear out loud, of course. It's not something that's audible, but it's something like a knowing that I hear through my inner being almost. And it's like you're hearing his voice and you're listening with your spiritual ears. And this is different from the voice, your own voice that's inside of your head or inside of your mind. That's, to me, that's different from that. They say God's voice is like a still small voice. And to me, that's true. I feel like the voice in my head is louder than God's voice, but I should have never mentioned that. Anyways, so according to John 33:14, it says, God speaks again and again, but people do not recognize it. So God is not selective on who he speaks to. He could speak to a sinner, someone that's not a sinner, someone that's saved, someone that's not saved, someone that has a relationship with him, someone that does not have a relationship with him. He could speak to anyone and everyone that he chooses, that he pleases. But we have selective hearing. Sometimes we just don't hear him, or we're not listening, but he is constantly speaking to us. So you might think, I don't have the ability to hear from God. Yes, you do. You already have that ability, but I'm going to let you know why you can't hear from him. So, human beings, our minds are compared to like a sponge, right? A sponge, just like our mind, has limited capacity to what it can absorb. This sponge is so full that it's leaking water. It's reached its maximum capacity to be filled up again. No matter how many times I soak it in this water, it cannot absorb anymore. It's going to leak out this water. So is our mind. So we're asking God, fill me up. If I got a sponge, a mind that's in this world, and I'm over here trying to come to God over here, and I'm like, okay, God, fill me up. And I'm coming over here, I can't even receive what God is trying to fill me up with, because I'm already filled up by everything else. So I literally have to empty myself, empty my mind of all these worldly things, and then come to God empty, and then receive from him, and then absorb what he's telling me, and take in and listen to his voice. That's the only way I'm going to be able to do it, not if I'm already filled up over here. So that is how our mind is like. And some people call it, it's a intuition, or it's like a gut feeling. And some people don't even know what I'm talking about. They say, I don't even hear God's voice. I don't even know what you're even speaking of. So let me ask you this. If you feel like you can't even hear from God, what are you filling yourself up with? Like the sponge. What are you filling yourself up with? The mind is a powerful place. The things that we see and the things that we hear is being processed by our mind. So what you're looking at, what you're hearing is essentially going to be the essence of your being. You know what I'm saying? So if you feel like, okay, I can't hear from God, well, like I said, what are you receiving in your mind? What are you listening to? What are you hearing? Are you constantly watching pornography? Are you constantly listening to music that has, curse words every other word? Don't be surprised when you're constantly thinking about sex, or when you're cursing like a sailor and you're wondering why. Well, what information are you receiving through your mind? And I have a free resource on my website if you would like to download it. It's called The Top 10 Things That Satan is Using to Distract You from God, and to go more in depth on what I was saying. So I'll leave the link in the description box if you would like to download it and take a look. But following people like like prophets, God speaks to me through this person, or watching sermons or listening to godly podcasts, all those are fine. Those are actually great. You should be doing those things. But do not become so dependent on these things that you can't even hear from God yourself. These people are hearing from God directly to give you information, but don't be so dependent on these people that you can't even receive information from God your own self. And to receive information from God, you have to go directly to the source. And I'm about to show you the source right now on camera. I'm about to show you the source right now. Guess what the source is? This is your source. Right here, the Bible. His word is your source. This is your source to hearing directly from God. You know, this is the Everyday Matters Bible for women. I got this off of Amazon. Bibles aren't that expensive. It was probably like $20, $30. I'm pretty sure we've spent more money on other things. And, you know, I've even seen Bibles at Ross for like $8, $5, $6. That's like once in a blue moon, but still. You can even get a Bible from your phone. You can download the what is it called? But You Now version. I think it's called. I'll put it here somewhere. It's a Bible app and it's completely free. You can read the Bible on your phone. There's literally like no excuses as to why you can't hear God's voice. You have the ability to do that, but it takes effort on your part as well. And if you're not going directly to the source, how else are you going to be able to know who God is and what he's like? His nature, his characteristics, what he likes, what he doesn't like, what he hates, what he loves, what he does, what he doesn't do. How are you going to be able to receive guidance and direction from him if you're not taking the opportunity to even get to know him? It's almost impossible, really. How are you going to be able to distinguish his voice from your own voice inside your head from Satan's voice? And Satan does speak to you. He does. How are you going to be able to know these things? You have to go directly to the source. It's like if I have this candle right here, right? I have a light that's continuously burning because it has a source of life, which is oxygen. It needs oxygen in order to continue to burn, right? If I take this lid and deprive it of the very thing it needs, look, slowly but surely, lights out. It's lights out. So is your spirit man when you deprive it of the word of God. Same thing happens. If you keep depriving your spirit man, you're not going to be able to hear God's voice clearly for yourself. It feeds off of the word of God. So in the same sense, your spirit man, the being that God speaks to you with, it needs to be sustained by the word of God, or else it's lights out. So I'm going to read a passage from Mark 4:24 where Jesus is speaking, and it says, "Then he added, pay close attention to what you hear. The closer you listen, the more understanding you will be given, and you will receive even more. To those who listen to my teaching, more understanding will be given. But to those who are not listening, even what little understanding they have will be taken away from them." So receiving understanding from God comes by listening, and listening comes by hearing, right? We all have ears to listen. We all have the ability to hear from God, but some of us are literally living in spiritual deafness. God is constantly speaking to you, but it's literally passing from one ear and out the other. We do that every day with regular people, regular conversations. You know, somebody can be speaking to you, you're there, but it's literally going through one ear and out the other. And then before you know it, you're hearing them, but you didn't listen to them. So you have no idea what they're even talking about. You don't understand what they're even talking about. It's the same way with God. So how to hear from God through your heart clearly and accurately, it depends on what you're feeding your spirit man. That's all there is to it. All right, you guys. So that's the end of today's video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and tell me down below. Have there been times where you felt like God was speaking to you, but you just couldn't hear, or you just couldn't understand, or you didn't receive understanding because you didn't listen? Let me know. So I'll see you guys next time. All right. Bye. Action. Why don't you slow down a little bit? Oh my gosh. How awkward.